The airport terminal buzzed with the hum of rolling suitcases, muffled announcements echoing overhead, and the sharp aroma of freshly brewed coffee from a kiosk nearby. Aisha stood at gate 22, clutching a paper cup gone cold, the cardboard sleeve damp from her nervous palms. Outside, the rain slid down the vast glass wall in silver rivulets, blurring the runway lights into soft halos. A departing plane roared into the clouds, swallowed instantly by the gray sky. She hadn't flown in over 6 years. Not since that night. Her seat was by the corner, close enough to the boarding gate, far enough from the chatter. Across the waiting area, 2 women with perfect hair and diamond earrings leaned close, whispering. Aisha didn't have to strain to know the moment their gaze fell on her, the subtle flick of their eyes to the jagged scar running from her jawline to her collarbone. She could almost feel the weight of their curiosity, the quiet judgment clinging to the air. She adjusted her scarf, pulling it slightly higher, as if fabric could shield her from memory. Her boarding pass trembled in her hand. She had almost canceled this trip. Almost let fear, once again, convince her to stay in the shadows. But this flight wasn't for leisure, it was for family. It was to see Hamid, her younger brother, for the first time in person since their lives had been torn apart. 6 years earlier, the factory explosion had ripped through the city. It had taken her parents, her fiancé, and the small home they had filled with love and noise. It had left her broken, skin burned, bones shattered, face altered. Hamid, only 13 at the time, had been sent overseas to live with their uncle. Letters came in bursts, each one full of longing and promises. Video calls followed, though they only deepened the ache, seeing him grow without her there, hearing the change in his voice. And always, she wondered, when he saw her in person, would he still see his sister, or only the damage? Aisha shifted in her seat as the minutes ticked by. The terminal's hum was interrupted by the soft shuffle of sneakers against tile. A boy, no older than 6, padded past her dragging a floppy stuffed rabbit by one ear. His hoodie was too big, sleeves covering his hands. He stopped in front of her, eyes wide with honest curiosity, not pity. "Does it hurt?" he asked, pointing to her scar with the bluntness only a child could have. His mother, startled, rushed to apologize. But Aisha shook her head, lowering herself so their eyes met. "Not anymore," she said gently. "It's just part of my story now." The boy nodded thoughtfully, then, to her surprise, held out the rabbit. "You can keep him safe for the flight." She tried to refuse, but he pressed it into her hands before skipping back to his mother. The rabbit's fur was worn, one eye missing, but in her grip it felt like something precious, a small, unspoken trust. When the boarding announcement finally echoed through the terminal, Aisha found herself behind an elderly man wrestling with his suitcase. Without hesitation, she stepped forward and took the handle, rolling it to the gate. He turned, studying her face, his eyes soft with recognition of something unspoken. "You remind me of my daughter," he said quietly. She was brave, too. The words sank deep, bypassing her scars, her history. He saw her. On the plane, the drone of engines wrapped her in a strange calm. She kept the rabbit in her lap, fingers tracing the frayed stitching as the clouds swallowed them whole. The fear was still there, but so was a new flicker, the sense that maybe, just maybe, she was stronger than the voice that told her to stay hidden. Half an hour later, the hiker was exactly where she said he'd be, limping along the creek, still believing he was invisible. The rangers closed in from the west, driving him straight into her path. She stepped out silently, blocking his escape with nothing but her presence. There was no shouting, no dramatic tackle, just a calm command and an outstretched hand. He froze. Moments later, deputies moved in to secure him. The Special Forces vet found her by the water's edge, crouched and rinsing her hands. Name's Carson. Fifth group. You? She looked up, meeting his gaze for the first time. Sam. No unit. No record. It wasn't deflection. It was truth, the kind wrapped in layers you'd never peel back unless she let you. Carson nodded slowly, eyes narrowing in thought. Respect. She slung her pack over one shoulder, gave the creek one last look, and disappeared into the tree line without another word. The younger rangers stood there in silence, the earlier laughter long gone. They knew they'd just seen something they didn't fully understand, and wouldn't forget.